So now we are starting our new lesson. Okay.
Okay.
Did you show the previous lessons again? Sumaya, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said,
Sure.
did you show your previous lessons again?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
So
the
as you,
first,
yeah, tell
mm,
me.
I'll say an overview over the last session. The first thing we will tell the student overview about lesson and qaida, about information about Quran.
Mm.
Then we will start to tell him the names of letters.
Okay, tell me now the information or overview about the Qaeda. Let's suppose I am your student and I am starting the first lesson. So tell me the overview and what you are said.
Okay. Uh, I'll tell him Quran is the word of Allah. Allah sent the angel Jibril to recite the Quran on the Prophet Muhammad, be upon him. Allah said the words of Quran in Arabic language, so we should learn some things about Arabic language to be able to read Quran. So this qaida will help us to learn how to read the Quran.
Okay.
We should start with letters, Arabic language.
Mm.
The first letter is Alif, and Alif is look like a straight line.
Okay.
And
So the overview is done.
mm,
Okay. So okay, no problem. So inshallah ta'ala, whole over the Qaida's demo I will take in the end of our sessions. Okay. When we finished
okay,
all our lessons, then I will take your demo for your whole Qaida, and then you can able to teach each and every lesson perfectly.
okay,
So now I'm starting the lesson number 4, which is about Fatha, and also we will call it Zabar. So before we start, you have to know about that, and you have to ensure that the letter about the letters name and their sounds and their
about
identifications, each
yeah,
and everything about the letters your student will know now. Okay.
okay,
So now when you are starting your lesson number 4, so now we don't talk about the letter name and we don't talk about the letter sound and anything else about the letter, because now we are talking about the sign. So first of all, you just make this sign, you just highlighted this sign like that, and then you tell him this sign we will call fatha, right? Okay, so
yes,
first of all you just tell him, your student, like this is the sign which we will call fatha. Before you can say, we have some shapes sometimes comes on the top of the letter, sometimes some shapes comes in the bottom of the letter, and that shapes we will call our signs. So some signs, all the signs having their own names and their own shapes and their own sounds. So first of all, we are just learning about this sign which is appear on the top of the letter and which look like a sliding line. Okay.
okay,
This sign look like a sliding line and it will always comes on the top of the letter. So first of all, what you did, you tell your student about the signs. As I told you that sometimes the signs will comes in the bottom and sometimes signs will comes in the beginning, on the top.
okay,
About after that you can tell your student whenever. Okay. Okay, can you see that line?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I wrote, whenever you see any type of sign look like a sliding line, which look like a sliding line comes on the top of the letter, so we will call it fatha. Okay,
Okay.
fatha
Okay.
look like a sliding line.
Sliding line.
Yeah. Okay, you can ask your student as well, like how the fatha look like, so they will tell you the fatha look like a sliding line, and where it will appear, the sliding line always appear on the top of the letter. Okay, so these 2 or 3 points you have to tell your student first, and then you will tell your student about the sounds. Okay, you can tell your student that same as it is as you learn about the letter sound before, same as it is we have a sign sound as well, and the sign sound is no fatha sound is a. Okay, this is the sound of fatha a.
Ah.
See here, as you can show your student by written on the whiteboard. So whenever you just tell your student the sound of fatha is a. What is the sound of fatha?
Ah.
A. Okay, we just denote this sound with the letter of a. Now how will we read any letter which has a fatha? So first of all, you can tell your students whenever we want to read any letter. So first we pronounce the letter sound, and then we will pronounce the sign sound. Okay, and then we add both sounds together, so it will become the original sound of that letter. So for example, so first of all we have the letter alif, and what is the sound of alif?
Alif has no sound.
Alif has no sound. So how will we read alif? Whenever we want to read alif, so we will check either it has a sign on the top or in the bottom or not. If it has a sign, so we just pronounce the sign sound, and if it has no sign, so we don't pronounce alif. So here we have a alif, and alif has a fatha, so we just pronounce the sound of fatha, which is a. So whenever we want to pronounce alif, and if it has a fatha, so we just say a, right?
Right.
So now go for the next. Here we have a ba. So how will we read the ba? First of all, I said pronounce the sound of ba like b. Then add the sound of the sign which appear on that letter. So there is a fatha, and the sound of fatha is a. So
Ah.
when we add
Ba.
both sounds together, so it will become b a b a ba.
Ba.
Got it? Same as it is if we want to recite seen, so it will a sa. Then ko a ko, ma a ma, da a da. So for in starting or in beginning, the student will recite like that same as I am reciting. For example, they will recite separately all the sounds like ba a ba. But after that, some students will be read directly. If they will check the ba has a fatha, so it will ba. Okay, the speed of the reading is will be slow, but they will try to read, and sometime the student will read directly. Got it?
Yeah.
So do you understand how will we read any letter with their sign?
What?
I said, do you understand how will we read any letter with their sign?
Um, for example, fa,
Yeah.
uh, its sound is f, and the sound of fatha is a. It will be fa.
Yeah. Fa, fa. After that, when you start the exercise, so as I told you in the exercise, your student should tell you every letters one by one. So how will we tell our students to recite the words? So because here are some little bit harder words, so that's why one or two words we will help our students to recite. After that, they can read with himself. So I'm telling you how to read the first letter with the sounds. First of all, we tell our students always start from the right hand side because our students from UK and their native language is English. So they think that all language will be start from the left hand side because English is start from the left hand side. So that's why we have to tell our students the Arabic language, the literature of Arabic language will be start from the right hand side. So we will start from the right hand side from the beginning and we will see first letter and we will read one by one. Okay, always tell your student don't try to read whole word at a time. Just start from the beginning and read one by one. So first we letter we have is alif, and because alif has no sound, so we just pronounce the sound of fatha.
Fatha.
It is a. Then we have meme with fatha. So the sound of meme is m,
Mm,
and there is a fatha, so it will a. So we will add it both sound together. It will become ma, a,
ma.
ma. And when we add with previous, so it will become a, ma. Then we have ra with fatha. So the sound of ra is ra,
R.
then a. Don't tell your students every sounds as I am telling you. I am just giving you the overview,
Yes.
so that's why while you are teaching, so you can ask your students, like when you are on the raw, so you can ask your student what is the letter name is. Don't tell first before asking. So you
Okay.
can first ask him what is the letter name is, what is the sound of raw, what is the sign of the raw, what is the sound of that sign, and then you just write here after when uh, your student told you. So here the last letter is ra. The sound of ra is ra, and the sound of fatha is a. So it will become ra a ra. And when we add all sounds together, so it will become a ma ra, ama ra. Got it?
Amaro.
Yeah. Now you tell me how to read this word with the sounds.
The sound of ba is ba, uh, plus ba or fatha. It will be ba.
Hmm.
And la, la with fatha. A, la.
Hmm.
Ghain,
No, no. Now,
gha.
attached with the previous letter. Okay, one by one when we are going to the next, so we will continue to read with the previous as well.
uh, Bala,
Yeah.
ghain, gha.
Mm,
Gha with fatha.
mm. The sound of
A.
fatha is
Gha.
a.
Yeah. Balagha.
Yes, so you need to do practice. Okay, same as it is. And while you are doing practice, so there you first open this lesson on your um, paint application, and then you write same as it is as I am writing here. So you should practice like that. Okay, for example, you
Okay.
take word that. So here, how will we write and how will we read this let word? Like first of all, we have saw. The sound of saw is saw,
So,
and there is a fatha a. Saw a saw.
so,
Then the
the,
a the saw the ko
ko,
a
eh,
ko saw the ko. Okay.
Okay.
So you must do practice like that. Every word, write on here whiteboard, and similar simultaneously you have to recite as well. So this is our first lesson, and we just tell about the students the sign name. First thing, the second is how the sign look like, where the sign appear, and what is the sound of that sign. Okay, so these four things we will tell our students in the lesson number 4, and then we will take him forward, and when he completed his exercise, then we will jump to the next lesson. So the next lesson is also the similar. Everything which we taught before, we will tell here also. For example, the sign name, in the previous lesson we tell the sign name is Fatha. Here we will tell our student this sign name is Kasra.
Kasra.
The Fatha always comes on the top of the letter, but the Kasra always comes in the bottom of the letter.
Bottom.
The sound of Fatha is A, and the sound of Kasra is E.
E.
Okay, whenever we have a same sliding line comes in the bottom, so we will call it kasra, and if it will come on the top, so then we will call it fatha.
Fatha.
Okay, so same, the four step points which we will was told our students in the previous lesson, we will tell here as well. And then when he remember the sign name and their sound and their shape and their location, so then you can go for the recitation. For example, you can tell him, okay, tell me if the ba has kasra, so then how will we read that? So he will tell you and he will recite like the sound of ba is ba, and this there is a kasra and the sound of kasra is e.
E.
Ba, e, b, to, e, tui,
Three.
j, e, ji, n, e, ni, e, he, e, he. Got it?
He.
Yeah.
What sound
Now,
of E? Ya.
ya is j, e,
J.
g,
Uh, Jim. G.
j,
Ya.
j, e, g. Okay.
Okay.
Now we have exercise, and as same I told you on previous that this exercise will be written by your student. The exercise, all the words read by your student. So you can just help your student on the starting one or two words or three words or four words, but after that your student should read every word, because now they know what is the letter name is and which sign appears and the sounds of their signs. So now they should have to read himself without taking any help. So if I take this word, so how will we read? If we want to tell our students how to read, so first is if you think your student is genius, then you can tell directly, say him the kaf sound is and the kasra sound is, and your student will read automatically. Like the sound of kaf is ka and the sound of kasra is e.
E.
So it is ka, e,
E.
ki, and when ba has fatha, so it will ba, ki, ba. When ra has kasra, so it will re, because ra, e, re, ki, ba, re. But if you think your student is a puzzle and they are confused how to read, so then you can write here ka, e, ki, then ba, a, ba,
Uh,
ki, ba, then ra, e, re. Okay, you have to practice to write here also. Okay,
okay.
because you have to write here, that student will understand. So now, same as it is, we will finish this lesson and then we will go to the next. And whenever you are on the next lesson, so you can ask the previous question as well. For example, when you finish kasra, so you can write here any word and then ask what is the letter name is. Then put any sign which you want. Like so far, your student memorize two signs. So first of all, you ask which sign is that. When he tell you, then which sign is that, and tell all the thing about that sign, means the sound of that sign, how it will look like when it will appear, and what how to read when the ba has a kasra, all each and everything. Okay, this is just because recalling the previous things. If you ask every time, so they will understand and they will remember.
Okay.
Now go for the next lesson. Now this is the lesson 6, which is about Dhamma. In this lesson, we also cover and also tell the same things which we will cover and tell the previous lessons. Like this is this sign we will call Dhamma, which look like a tiny wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, you tell your student this is Dhamma, and this sign look like a tiny wow, and it will always appear on the top of the letter. And the last thing is the sound of the Dhamma, and the sound of Dhamma is oo. Okay, we will denote
Okay.
it to like o, but we will pronounce it oo. So how will we read?
Oh,
Ra u ru,
rule.
ma u mu, ba u bu.
Oh.
How will we read alif with Dhamma?
Alif has no sign and Dhamma. Oh.
Hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, just we decide oo. How will we read Hamza with Dhamma?
Oh.
Yeah, it is also oo. Now one the thing we will do in this lesson, and that is when you finished your lesson here, like when your student recited Ya with Dhamma, so here you stop and you can tell your student that these three signs which we will learn, like Fataha, Kasra, or Dhamma, these three signs we will arrange in a we will arrange in a group, and that group we will call movement signs. Okay, in Arabic we will call it harakat, but because we have to uh, make this easier for our students, so that's why we will tell our student that Fatha, Kasra, Dhamma are no are called movement signs. Okay,
Okay.
so here you can tell, do not tell your student about the movement signs on the Fatha's lesson or the Kasra's lesson. Okay, just tell when the Dhamma lesson will be completed. So here you can tell your student that like Fatha, Kasra, and Dhamma we will call movement sign, and whenever any letter has a movement sign, so we will call that letter is moved letter. Got it?
Moved letter.
So this is you can you should tell your students when you finished this Dhamma's lesson. After that you will start the exercise and you know what you should do in exercise. So in the exercise your student will be tell you everything, like now if you want to read this letter, so how will we read?
J. O. Ju. A. E. A. Ju. A. L. A. L. Juila.
Yes, very good. Okay, so same as it is, your student will be read. So there is no any hijjo we will call, or we are not separating like jim, tamma, ju, ain, kasra, e. Okay, we just read with the sound, because in the Quran we also follow these sounds as well. In Quran we don't say uh, if we recite Iqra bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq, so then we don't say alif with kasra, qaf with sukoon, iq, then ra. Okay, we read there
Okay.
also the sounds. So that's why when we follow these sounds in the Qaida book, so it will help our students to recite Quran easier.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I told you, sometimes our student will read automatically and will read directly. Like they don't read like j, u, ju. They read directly ju, I, la. If your student is reading directly, so that is very good for your student. But if they are confusing and they are not able to read that directly, so then you can tell how to pronounce separately first and then join all the sounds together. Got it?
جعل.
Hmm. So now our three lessons are finished. So similarly, every lesson we will tell the same way as you tell your first lesson. So first lesson of Fatha is important. If you understand that lesson, so you can follow the same steps on your every lesson. For example, on the double Fatha, uh, in this lesson you also tell the same points, like whenever we have a two sliding line on the top of the letter, so we will call it double fatha. Okay, if there is a one sliding line on the top, so we will call it fatha. If there is a double line on the top, so then we will call it double fatha. The double fatha look like a two sliding lines on the top. Okay, the sound of double fatha is,
أن.
yeah, the sound of double fatha is an, this. And
Mm.
also always keep in your mind that we will add the sound of noon every time in the end of the double fatha. Okay, so that second
Okay.
line is denoted that sound of noon. So whenever we are reading, so if there is a double fatha, so we will pronounce the sound of fatha, but we will add the sound of noon as well, because that is hidden in tanween. Okay, we don't say use the tanween word here, as we don't use the movement sign on the first lesson. Remember, we tell our students on the Dhamma's lesson about the movement sign. So similarly, we will tell our students on the double Dhamma about the Tanween sign. Here we just tell him if there is a double line on the top, so we will call it double fatha. The double fatha sound is an, and it will look like a two sliding lines. Now how will we read? If there is a jim and jim has a double fatha, so read ja,
جن.
an, jan. Similarly, sa, an,
أن.
san.
أن.
Okay. And same as it is, you can start your exercise after when you think your student is understood about the double fatha. So you can start your exercise, and in the exercise your student will tell you each and everything, because they know now, they know what is fatha and what is the sound of fatha, and when qaf has a fatha, so how will we read, when dal has fatha, so how will we read, when ra has fatha, so how will we read, each and everything they already know. Maybe it might be possible that your student will forgot. So if they forget, so you can revise or recall that again, and that is not need that you can again go your student and take your student to the previous lesson. You can revise your previous rule in this current lesson as well.
Okay.
Okay, as here I told on the I think third lesson, that this lesson this letter we will call round ta. So you here you can just ask your student what is the name of this letter, so he will tell you this letter name is round ta. Okay. Now same as it is, you can go for the next, and again the next is double kasra, and the same things we will tell our students, like double kasra is look like a two sliding lines, and it will always come in the bottom of the letter, and the sound of double kasra is in, like e, and the noon is hidden there, which is in.
إن.
Okay, so same as it is, we will follow the uh, same things which we will followed on our previous lessons, and we will go for the next. Here we have a double dhamma, and same as it is, you can tell your students the double dhamma is look like a two tiny wow. One is actual tiny wow, and second one is the upside down, or you can say vice versa. Okay,
Okay.
so the sound of double dhamma is and it will always comes on the top of the letter. So if qaf has a double dhamma, so how will we read? Qa, un, kun,
Um,
la, un, lun, ha, un, hun. Okay. And here when you finished your lesson, ya, yun, then you can tell, yeah, that the three signs which we learned, double fatha, double kasra, and double dhamma, we will arrange this three signs into one group, which we will call tanween signs. Okay.
okay.
So here you can also ask your students what is movement sign. So they will tell you the movement sign is double fatha, double kasra, double dhamma. Okay, and what is tanween sign? Double tanween signs are double fatha. So movement signs are fatha, kasra, dhamma, and tanween signs are double fatha, double kasra, double dhamma. How many times we will stretch movement sign? So the answer is we don't stretch movement sign. Okay, we just read
Okay.
that letter only 1 second. That's mean whenever Alif has a fatha, and fatha is one of the movement signs, so we just stretch it for 1 second, like ah. We don't stretch like ah. Got it?
Ah,
Yes. Don't jerk and don't stretch. After that, we will go on the exercise, and this exercise your student will read with himself.
yeah.
Okay, then we will start our new lesson, lesson number 10. So, what do you think? Can we continue or we stop here because you want
Continue.
to practice? Hmm?
Continue. It's
Continue.
easy.
Okay. Okay. So, here we have a lesson number 10, which is about Alif Madda. Before you start this lesson, you can tell your student that we have three Madda letters, which are
You
Alif,
you asked me why the ya has no dots under it.
which,
The last lesson, the last session.
yeah, lesson number 10.
You asked me why the ya has no dots under it. Uh, the last session. You asked me to search about it.
Yeah, I will ask you about when we finished our all lessons. Okay.
Okay, okay.
So now, what do you want? We continue or you want to practice?
Continue.
Continue. Okay. So in this lesson, we will tell our student brief information. As I told you that whenever we start any lesson, so first of all, we give the brief information or introduction to our students about that lesson. So this lesson is lesson number 10, which is about Alif Madda. But before we start this Alif Madda, first of all, we know how many Madda letters we have and what we do when we find any Madda letter. So we have three Madda letters. First is Alif Madda, then Vav Madda, then Ya Madda. Okay. So
Okay,
and also these three Madda letters have their individually definitions as well, because we don't say every Alif or every Vav or every Ya are Madda letter. In Quran, there are many times alif, waw, and ya will become, but we don't say every alif, waw, and ya are the madda letter. Why? Because when the letter alif or waw or ya have their own definition, so that's why we will check first. If the definition is true, for example, the alif madda's definition is true on the Quran on that alif, so then we will call it alif madda. Otherwise, that alif is the normal alif. And when we found any madda letter, so we stretch it for 2 seconds. Got it? So in
for
this
2
lesson,
seconds.
we just talk about the alif madda and the rest of the madda letters like vav madda and ya madda. Inshallah, we will learn in our next classes. So the alif madda definition has two condition. Okay, the first condition is, and also keep in your mind that when the both conditions will be true, then we will call it alif madda, otherwise not. For example, if the first condition is true but the second one is false, then we don't say it alif madda. Similarly, if the first one is false and the second one is true, so then also we don't say that that is alif madda. We only tell that alif is alif madda if the condition, both conditions are true. Got it? So the condition of alif madda is when alif has no sign. This is the first condition. Whenever we see alif and when it has no sign means there is no fatha, kasra, dhamma, no double fatha, no double kasra, double dhamma, and no any else sign appear on the top or in the bottom of that letter. So,
Okay.
so we will say the first condition is true and then we check the second condition. The second condition is when the previous letter has a fatha. Okay, so the previous letter has a fatha. So then we will call it alif madda and now we will stretch that for 2 seconds.
Okay.
So see here if we have a ba and ba has alif madda because see ba has alif and alif has no any sign and the previous letter has a fatha, so that's why we will call it alif madda. Now how will we read? We just read ba and the sound of ba is ba, and now because there is alif madda, so we stretch the sound of fatha for 2 seconds, the same sound of fatha for 2 seconds. So the sound of fatha is a, and now because we have to stretch it double, so we will one add one more sound, so it will become ba, ba. Got it?
The
Yeah, this is the alif madda. So do you understanding?
yeah.
Okay. So similarly, you can finish your this lesson like the and you can ask your student as well. It's your choice that you can write here some words and some has a correct alif madda, some has wrong alif madda. For example, I'm giving fatha on both. Here I'm giving kasra and sukun. Here I'm giving fatha or Dhamma. No, Sukun is no. He is not understand about Sukun yet. Replace the Sukun sign. Now, if I'm giving the Kasra, now you can ask your student which one is Alif Madda. This is Alif Madda or not. So he can check. The previous letter has Fatha, but Alif also has a Fatha. But what we need when Alif has no sound, no sign. So that's
So,
mean this is wrong. So now you can tell that is this is one alif madda or not. So again he will check and again check. Okay, so if your student is giving you the right answer, so that's mean he understand about alif madda perfectly. Otherwise you have to recall, and if otherwise you have to give some more examples about the alif madda. Okay, so now we are stopping here on the lesson number 10. So you can again, because the video will be become a very big larger, so that's why that will very harder to watch it again. So now what
okay.
we are doing, we are stopping here and just you have to recall and see this video, rewatch this video again and do some more practice on your laptop and by using your paint application. And inshallah ta'ala on the next day, means tomorrow, we will again arrange our session